what's working, everyone? I'm Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. Our focus, workplace and workforce trends, and what I've got for you today is undoubtedly a workplace trend. It's a workforce fear. It's a personal fear, and I'm going to begin by reading this email. I've received this email 3 or 4 times now. You probably have too. Here we go. I do know that blank, and I'm not going to give you this, is your passphrase. Let's get straight to the purpose. Not one person has compensated me to check you. You do not know me, and you are probably thinking, why are you getting this email? I installed a software on the videos, in parentheses, it reads porn material site, and there's more. You visited this website to experience fun, and it goes on and on and on. And then it says you have 2 choices. These are your options. Number 1, skip this email. And it says, I will send out your very own video that I found to every one of your personal contacts. Think of the embarrassment you can get. Alternative number 2, send me $2,000. Let's describe it as a donation. Then I will quickly discard your video recording. You can keep your way of life like this never took place, and you will never hear back from me again. Make the payment in Bitcoin. And there's about a 16-digit Bitcoin address, I guess. It says copy and paste this that I would pay. I read this and it caught me off guard because in the subject line is an old password that I used to use. And when I saw that, I thought, ooh, that is a real password. I recognize that. That is my first password when I first got on the internet many, many, many years ago. That was the password, and it caught my attention. But after I read it, I thought, I don't look at this stuff. They're making this up. This is not me. This is a scare, and it worked. And this is becoming more and more common as the technology around us gets more and more sophisticated, as the crooks out there get better and better at what it is that they do. Your passwords, my passwords, our behavior online, our ability to use these phenomenal devices that are introduced to us every year and with upgrades and updates, etc., that are supposed to make our lives easier, also expose us to greater vulnerabilities. It's you and me personally, it's our businesses as well, and it's our employees at our businesses as well. The focus of today's What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College, cyber security, and what you and I need to know. We'll be right back.
I'm Michael Coward. My team and I will work with your corporate team to help you with your executive employee benefit plans. We offer executive retirement plans that allow you to favor your leadership team as well as 401k plans for your entire company. We've served the Mobile market for over 20 years. Call us at 251-342-0446 or find us online at cowardassociates.com. That's COWART associates.com.
Securities offered through Pro Equities, member FINRA, SIPC. Hey, this is Cam Marston. If sales in your business comes from prospecting to create leads that lead to sales, I want to tell you about Sales Up Coach, a cloud-based system created for the next generation of sales professional. There's a big difference between being busy and being effective. And Sales Up Coach helps salespeople who rely on prospecting uncover which of their activities produce the greatest results. Over time, Sales Up Coach's machine learning hones salespeople's schedule to focus only on activities that generate the most bang for the buck. Your sales team interacts with Sales Up Coach on their smartphone, and sales managers can instantly generate reports to see who is on goal and who may need additional support. Go online and take a look at this new and very powerful sales tool. Go to salesupcoach.com/Cam Marston. Watch your sales team's productivity change.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. I have on the line with me Glenda Snodgrass. Glenda is the president and lead consultant and project manager at the Net Effect, a company that's been in business since 1996. She's primarily engaged in cybersecurity training, and I want you to hear some of her background here. And I'm going to pick up some of these, Glenda, as we go along, but this is the one that catches my attention right now. She's an active member of InfraGard and recently graduated from the FBI Citizens Academy. Glenda will want to hear more about that. Welcome to What's Working. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So last night, I'm moving the chains at my son's football game. I'm standing on the sideline watching my son. One of the teams calls a timeout, and I do what people all over the world do when they have a spare moment or two. I reach for my phone, and on my phone is a message from Microsoft saying, if you have not changed the security settings, then someone is attacking your account. Do the following. And I'm sitting there on the sidelines with my phone thinking, is this bona fide? Is this a hoax? Is this a very sophisticated ruse trying to get me to tap this link or whatever it may be? And this type of stuff, as I know you know, happens all the time. I get emails saying my account is under attack, and I look at it and I instantly want to react. But my thought is, well, wonder if this attack is fake, and this is trying to get me to expose my passwords or whatever it may be. Tell me, Glenda, what should we think? What should we look for? I mean, what is the world of cyber attacks coming to out there? Give me your overview of things.
Well, as far as the world of cyber attacks overall, let's focus on your one particular question first. You got this message. Was this an SMS text message on your phone?
It was. It started out as that, and then it followed up online as or via an email. Okay.
All right. So there are basically two principles that I like to teach when it comes to evaluating things like this. Number one is, what is the message, the SMS message or the email trying to get you to do? Too often I see people focusing on trying to figure out whether it's legitimate, whether it really came from the person who it said it did, and they're not focusing on what the message wants you to do. That's the important thing. That message was crafted to get you to click on that link, right? That's what the message wanted you to do. So that's what you're not going to do. Well, if you think there's a chance that it was a legitimate message from, for example, Microsoft, I'm guessing that it said like your Microsoft Windows Live account.
Yes.
Somebody was trying to break into it because you've got two-factor authentication enabled and they put the password in, but not the second-factor authentication, which is possible. That could be a legitimate message. Instead of clicking on that link, what you do is you open your browser to a new window. You go to the Microsoft Windows Live login page at a URL that you know is accurate, and you log in. If that was a legitimate message, then when you log into that account, you're going to get a message immediately logging in legitimately saying your account's been compromised. You need to follow these steps, right? And it's the same thing with your online bank account or anything like that. If you get an SMS message that says, this is Wells Fargo and your credit card's been compromised, we need you to call this number right away for security fraud department, right? Don't call that number. That's your first instinct because it's the easiest thing to do, right? You just click on the little number and
Sure.
There you go. No, what you need to do is pull that credit card out of your wallet, flip it over to the back, and call the number that's on the back of that card. If your account really has been compromised, when you call that number, they'll put you straight to the fraud department and they'll tell you that there's been a problem. But 9 times out of 10, when you get a text like that, they say that message didn't come from us. There's not really a problem. That was what we call smishing. It's an SMS phishing message. They're very common. So what I tell people in my training sessions is go back to original sources of information, okay? If you've got a problem with your bank account, you think, call the number on the back of your credit card or your debit card, or call the number of your local branch where you know the banker. Those are original sources of information. Don't rely on the information that's being fed to you on your mobile device because you can't necessarily trust it. It's too hard to verify where it came from.
So, but even so, you think about this. Someone has both my email and my mobile device number because I got similar messages to the same Microsoft Live account on both, one through text and one nearly immediately following via email. Somebody has those two pieces of information, and when I thought about it last night on those sidelines, I thought, well, this is pretty convincing. They've got two pieces of personal information from me, and it's only stuff that I would have willingly given an organization like Microsoft that allows me to use their software. So I'm immediately predisposed to say this is legit, but that's not the case, is it?
No. Are you familiar with Troy Hunt's website, haveibeenpwned.com?
No. Tell me that again.
Haveibeenpwned, PWNED.com. Troy Hunt is a security researcher who for years has been picking up data dumps on the dark web and putting them into a searchable database. And you can sign up for his service, for notification from his service. You can put in your email address, and anytime that email shows up in a data dump that he picks up off the dark web, he'll send you an email and say, 10 million, login credentials were just picked up from a data dump from, to a data breach of. And a lot of times he knows what company or what database was breached. So you know that your account and on that service was breached. So you know that you can change that password and anywhere else that you use the same or similar passwords, and you can track that. So what most people don't realize is that millions of pieces of data like this are dumped on the dark web every day, and they are for sale. Some are for free, and it's very easy to match up that information. It doesn't even have to be that you put all of that information in one place. You may have used that email and that password on one account with the same username. You may have had the phone number on a completely different account, but use the same email account. Well, those two can be matched then to go to other accounts where the phone number works or where the email works. So there's a whole lot of data out there floating around that's freely available or inexpensively available to people who want to use it for crime, for cybercrime.
All right, let's talk about a couple of things that you've mentioned here. First, so I'm gonna rattle these questions off as they're in my head. First, what do these people want from me? Second,
money. Is
there really a dark web? This sounds to me like the conspiracy theorists who say there's about 6 people who run our government, the dark whatever they're called out there.
No. No, there most definitely is a dark web. The most important thing to understand about cybercrime, about any kind of cyber attack these days, is that we're talking about cybercrime. Cybercrime has been more profitable than the drug trade worldwide since 2015. That was 4 years ago. So most cyber attacks these days, certainly most of the ones that we need to worry about, are not in any way related to nation state hacking or espionage or any of that kind of stuff. It's simply criminals trying to make money. Organized criminal gangs worldwide are involved in cybercrime because there's so much money in it.
So they're not, organized criminal gangs aren't walking around in black clothes wearing Tommy guns, shooting people in bars anymore. They're now lined up shoulder to shoulder in a warehouse hacking. Is that right? I mean, is that what the gangsters have come to?
The criminal gangs are the people who hire the people who are sitting shoulder to shoulder hacking. It's actually a multi-level operation. Software engineers, software developers get paid to write malware, something like ransomware or a banking Trojan, something like that. Other people will either lease the software. You can lease software to use only in a geographic region for some length of time, for the number of people you want to attack, for a specific vertical market. You can lease botnets that will send out the malware to everybody. So the criminal gangs are at the top. They hire the software developers. They take a piece of the people who actually implement the software. They take a piece out of the people who have the botnets that can be leased to use it. There's an entire infrastructure now for cybercrime.
So gone are the days where I get an email saying that an heiress from Zimbabwe is now about to receive $15 million, and she needs me to hold on to it until she gets to the U.S. All I need to do is send her a bank account and my Social Security number. Those were pretty easy. They continue to get...
I still get those, but not too many.
Yeah. They continue to get more sophisticated and more scary. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk to you about what people like me and my listeners, if there's 3 things that we can look at to determine whether it's legit or not legit. You've told us the first thing is to go to the source of information. Is there a time of day when these things typically come through? Is there a color scheme?
No.
I mean, is there anything that's a simple tell? I had one telling me that they were going to expose the websites. If I don't send them money, they're going to expose the websites that I look at when I'm in private. And I thought, well, I don't look at websites in my private. When I don't look at these things. So you can expose them all you want. Anyway, This is fascinating. I think it's really deep. I want to hear prevention details, and we'll get into that when we come back. Cybersecurity continues to be a threat. People that know how to prevent it, people that know what's going on in the back of our computer or behind our computer or inside our computer, continue to create demand in the marketplace. Coastal Alabama Community College offers a degree program in Network Administration Specialist. It's offered on the Bay Minette campus, and these people can get an associate's degree or certificate in this program. They'll learn, they can get a career in computer systems, and it prepares them to go directly into the labor market. Part of the things they'll learn: software security, hardware support, Cisco CCNA courses, ethical hacking, and network security. Learn more about it at coastalalabama.edu. This is Cam Marston. I'm on with Glenda Snodgrass. You're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. We'll be right back.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
This is Coastal Alabama Community College, where education is key and where there is opportunity in every classroom. We serve 9 counties with one common goal. Here, we come together to create a brighter future. Together, we inspire. Together, we learn. Together, we succeed. This is Coastal Alabama Community College. All together.
Hi there, I'm Josh Knoll with Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. As your business grows and you accumulate wealth, planning to protect your assets becomes more and more important. I work with individuals and business owners throughout Baldwin County to help them protect their prosperity. Call me today at 251-327-2124 or find us at gulfcoastfa.com.
Securities offered through Pro Equities, member FINRA, SIPC. Listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. I'm on with Glenda Snodgrass. Glenda, I told people I would read a little bit more of your bio. You're currently the president of Gulf Coast Industrial Security Awareness Council. That's a mouthful. And the vice chair of Mobile Chapter 117 of the American Society for Industrial Security. You obviously know your business. What are, for my listeners and me, what are the 5 largest electronic vulnerabilities that I have at this very moment?
Only 5. You're only going to let me talk about 5.
I would suspect there's countless thousands, but it's just going to drive me into paranoia. Let's just focus on the top 5.
Okay. So the first point I want to make is the biggie, and everything else is sort of a subcategory from there. The largest electronic vulnerability, technological vulnerability that we have at this time is that we don't really understand how things work. We embrace new technology every day without having a clue how it works. And this is a problem because if you don't understand how something works, you don't fully understand the risks that you're taking in using it, and you don't know how to actually secure it to mitigate those risks. So the largest vulnerabilities all flow, to my mind, from not understanding how technology works. So educating yourself, educating your family, educating your employees is the best thing that you can do to increase your security online. So I'll start with unsecured wireless. 3-4 years ago, the FBI said that unsecured wireless was the greatest danger to businesses across the country. Since that time, business email compromise has taken the number 1 spot, but number 2 is still unsecured wireless. One of the services that my company offers is we do on-site security assessments for businesses all over the Southeast region. And I can tell you that every single time, without exception, we find unsecured wireless devices on the business network because they're not properly configured. I mean, it happens every single time.
Define that. Let me be clear on what an unsecured wireless device is. Define that for me in simpleton's terms.
Okay. The most common thing we find is that the business will say, we've got 2 separate wireless networks. We've got a guest wireless network for, our customers, our clients, or vendors who come to visit, lawyers who come in for depositions, that sort of thing. And then we have our private wireless network, but the guests can't see our private network. And we always say, well, that's one of the things that we want to confirm while we're here. And almost every single time we find that, in fact, the guest network can see the network.
Okay. So that is the business owner or the IT person at that business thinks it's secure, but it's not secure, which allows a evil-minded individual to gain access to that network.
Right.
Okay. And then from there, they can get the information that's hidden or stored safely, what people thought were stored safely in the computer, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Personal information of employees, company financial information, company confidential information, health information, credit card data, any data that's on your network is exposed in that situation. But it's not just businesses. All right. I'll give you an example. Like I said, everything I talk about applies to home and businesses almost equally. Okay. So home wireless routers, it's a real common problem that people don't have their home wireless routers configured in their home. This can get you into trouble. There was an article a couple of years ago. There was a woman in Indiana. She and her granddaughter lived, had cable, whatever, wireless. They didn't have a password or anything on their wireless secured. Their next door neighbor was using their wireless network for internet. They didn't realize it. Unfortunately, their next door neighbor was threatening the local police department. He was a little bit off his rocker. But when the police department tracked the messages, they tracked him to Granny's house because it was her wireless router. The SWAT team came in with flashbang grenades, dragged Granny and her granddaughter out on the front lawn because they thought that they had been threatening the police. That was her next door neighbor using her unsecured router. So you want to secure your wireless routers at home as well as at the office. And there are 3 simple things that you can do.
Go. This is good.
Number 1, change the default password.
All right.
Every device comes with a default password. Sometimes it's on a sticker on the bottom. It's on a sticker in the box. It's on a cardboard insert in the box, or you have to go to the manufacturer's website and get it. But it's publicly, freely available, that default password, because they want you to change it as soon as you get that device. So that's the first thing that you do. The second thing that you do is disable remote administration. This is usually a checkbox in the configuration somewhere. It means that someone outside on the internet cannot change the administrative settings of your router. It greatly limits their access. And the third thing is to upgrade the firmware. The firmware is software that's embedded on the hardware. It's what makes a smart device smart. It's what does the thinking. And typically by the time you buy a device and install it, that software was written a year or 2 or 3 years ago, possibly. It has known vulnerabilities that need to be upgraded. So as soon as you get that new device and get it connected to the internet, you go to the original source, the manufacturer's website, go to support downloads, that's usually where it is, and get the latest firmware for your device to make sure that you've secured it. Just doing those 3 things will protect your devices from the vast majority of internet attacks.
So I'm assuming that if somebody were dead set on trying to get into your account and they knew what they were doing, they probably could, but they're working numbers. They're trying to find the easiest one to get into. And by doing these 3 things, you make it a little bit hard for them, and they go on to the neighbor or they go on to the next business, whatever it may be.
Exactly. Well, by doing these 3 things, you pretty much eliminate the possibility of automated attacks. That's the thing, is it's not a guy somewhere in, Russia or China trying to break into your computer. It's a guy kicked back in his chair with his computer running automated software that runs through an entire range of IP addresses and runs through every available port on the IP address to find one that's open that will then trigger an alert. Oh, here's an open port on this device. It's vulnerable to this attack. So then he clicks a button to install a particular type of malware on that device. This is how we wind up with things called botnets. A bot, like a robot, is a device that's been taken over. It's under the command of someone else. And a net is a network. So a botnet is a network of these devices that have been taken over by cyber criminals in other places. The Mirai botnet that brought down the internet on the Eastern Coast for half of the day in October 2016 or 17, a couple years ago, had over 400,000 devices in that botnet that did that attack, and they were nearly all video camera systems from homes and small businesses who had not been protected. There have been lots of researchers will tell you that they'll buy a brand new device off the shelf and plug it into the internet without changing the password or adding any security to it. and they get taken over by these botnets within seconds of being connected on the internet because these automated attacks are constantly scanning 24/7.
You're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. I'm on with Glenda Snodgrass. Glenda is the president of the Net Effect Cybersecurity Training, helping businesses and individuals like you and me understand our vulnerabilities. Glenda, the question was the 5 largest electronic vulnerabilities. You talked about the open, remind me of the terminology, the
unsecured wireless.
Unsecured wireless is number 1. What's number 2?
Number 2 would be, continuing in this vein, smart devices in the home and office. These wireless video camera systems, like I said, wireless video camera systems that have not been secured are being pulled into these botnets. That's a very common one. Same thing apply. Change the default password, disable remote administration, and upgrade the firmware. Those are your 3 protections. It's the same thing in offices, smart devices in the office, but also building automation systems, the smart thermostats, smart coffee pots, smart refrigerators, all of these kind of things. And then we take the smart devices one step further and talk about the ones that actually have microphones in them. The Comcast remote that you can change a channel by speaking. The Samsung TV that has a microphone where you can change the channel just by speaking out loud. Well, let's get back to that concept of how does that work? How does that work? The Amazon Echo, the Google Home. Well, it works because it's got a microphone that's listening 24/7, recording and streaming that data up to a server on the internet where you can't control it in order to get a response to come back. So it's scary enough at home, the privacy implications of that, but in the office, it's a real problem. We have found smart TVs with microphones in conference rooms. Well, in conference rooms where you have confidential business meetings, but that data is being streamed out to a server on the internet to see if you're trying to change a channel. I've heard stories of Amazon Echoes sitting on the desks of lawyers. Attorneys have confidentiality issues with having any kind of smart device like that in their office where they're talking about their clients, talking to clients, talking with their assistants about clients. So we've got to be a lot more aware. Again, it gets back to that, how does this work? You know, if you don't know how it works, you need to think really, really hard about putting it into your environment, whether it's at home or whether it's in the office.
You're a cybersecurity expert. Do you have an Alexa, an Echo, a Siri, or whatever it may be? You do not?
No.
I've got an iPhone, and I, from time to time, say, hey, Siri, and, dial this number, or hey, Siri, play this song. Do you have Siri or whatever that is disengaged on all your devices?
Absolutely. Siri is turned off on all my devices.
Interesting. It's like the leap forward in technology, voice automated controls and things like that. It's what I hear at the conferences that I attend, people saying, when this is common, we're going to be able to do 10 things in the same amount of time. We could do 2 things. Now we'll do 10 things in the same amount of time. You say, yes, but it's making you extraordinarily vulnerable. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. That's where it comes down to understanding how something works in order to accurately assess the risk that you're taking in using it.
I can see that this conversation could go on for more than the time we have allotted, if not days. And we've talked about 2 or 3 of these things. I want to touch on number 4. What is there? I asked you for 5. Is there a 4? Do you have?
I've got 5.
Go.
I've got 5.
All right. Let's see.
Number 4 is unpatched software.
Okay.
All right. People do not apply software updates. Sometimes people even think that they have, but they haven't. And this is a serious problem. If you're running an operating system that has a known security vulnerability, like some of the big recent ones from Microsoft, Eternal Blue, for example, well, they released a patch for that months before the first major attack happened. But those big attacks happened because people had not applied the security updates. So you need to have auto updates turned on your operating system, every software that you use, whether on your home computer or on your office computer, and you need to make certain that all of that software is kept up to date, that you have all your security patches as soon as they come out. Most malware operates on a known vulnerability in software. So if you have applied the security patch, you don't have that vulnerability. So even if you do open that infected attachment, if it only works on an unpatched version of software and you've got the patched version, then it can't actually do anything to hurt you.
I know people who don't want to update their software, and I'm talking about someone in my home, because it's a hassle. It takes too much time. It causes the computer to reboot. I just don't like doing it. It takes too much time. And the settings may be different when it comes back, and I already know the settings now. You're saying that's a foolish way of thinking.
Well, you said foolish, not me. But I'm saying that it's increasing your vulnerability. It's definitely increasing your exposure. So yeah, you need to take the effort of making that happen. And nowadays, most software updates you can set to automatically download overnight, and only install the next time you reboot, and you can do it at your convenience.
Yeah. Hey, so we got 1 minute before the break. What's number 5? Again,
not understanding how things work. Installing spyware on your computer that you don't think is spyware. There's a software application called Grammarly. Actually, it's a browser extension. It corrects your grammar, right? It's a grammar and diction correction editor.
Yeah.
The problem is, how does this work? Every single thing that you type into your computer is sent up to the Grammarly server for checking and editing and comes back to you. Everything that you type on your computer is going to this server. We found this installed on a computer in a defense contractor.
Oh.
One of our clients.
I can see the issue.
Right.
All right, let's move into the break. I want to get back to this. I want to talk about passwords when we come back, because it's one of the banes of my existence, our passwords. Folks, you're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. I have Glenda Snodgrass on the line of The Net Effect. We'll be right back after this break.
Think about your home. What do you see? Do you just see 2 stories, or the stories of your toddler's first steps? Now think about your car. Do you see an odometer reading, or your kids reading in the back seat? Other insurance companies just see a house. They just see a car. But a State Farm agent sees what your home and your car really mean to you. So why not give them the protection they deserve?
You can reach me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, at AllisonHorner.com.
This program is also brought to you by my company, Generational Insights. We've been in the seminar business for 20 years, working with clients ranging from Fortune 500 executives to locally owned mom and pops, helping them improve their sales, their management, their recruiting, and their retention. We give knowledge first and then build tools based on that knowledge that make people more successful at their jobs. And soon, we'll add customer service training. Check us out at cammarston.com.
I'm Michael Coward. My team and I will work with your corporate team to help you with your executive employee benefit plans. We offer executive retirement plans that allow you to favor your leadership team, as well as 401k plans for your entire company. We've served the Mobile market for over 20 years. Call us at 251-342-0446 or find us online at cowardassociates.com. That's COWART associates.com.
Securities offered through Pro Equities, member FINRA, SIPC. You're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. On the line is Glenda Snodgrass. Glenda, I want to get to the last thing on your bio that really caught my attention, and that is, and I can't pronounce this word correctly, you hold a maîtrise?
Yeah, a maîtrise, right, master's degree.
From the University of Paris, Panthéon-Sorbonne in Paris, France. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So the FBI Citizens Academy, Infraguard, Paris, France. You've got a heck of a background. And we could spend the rest of the show talking about that, but let's get into passwords. I promise you, Glenda, I feel like at least an hour, if not more, a day is spent dealing with passwords. And I've got a new computer here that uses my fingerprint to enter the password into the password line, the password that I've set up. And I thought, well, this is helpful. And suddenly this is beginning to break down because it doesn't recognize the password. I've changed the passwords are a nightmare. Help me think differently about passwords.
Okay. I actually have an entire hour-long training session just on password management techniques in my cyber self-defense series. So I'll try to condense it to some of the top points here. First of all, the National Institute of Standards and Technology issued new guidelines on passwords about a year and a half ago to try and change the way software companies handle passwords. A lot of our old thinking about passwords was wrong. For example, forcing you to change your password every 30, 60, 90 days studies have shown that actually forces people to use weaker passwords because they just put a 1 or 2 or 3 at the end of it, and they're not really changing the password in any meaningful way.
I'm raising my hand right here. That's me. Keep going.
Yeah, that recommendation is out the window, okay? The next top recommendation from NIST is that your passwords be long and strong. So think in terms of passphrases, not passwords. A 16-character passphrase is exponentially more secure than an 8-character password. Even if the 8-character password has upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols, and it's gobbledygook and doesn't make any sense, you can make a 16-character passphrase that's just upper and lowercase letters, and it's still exponentially more secure simply because of the length. Passphrases are also easier to remember, and they're easier to type. So think in terms of, I tell people to think about, how do you remember things? I'm a visual learner. If I have to create a new password, I will look up around me, what do I see? And I will make a passphrase out of what I see. And then when I'm trying to remember it, I will remember what I saw at the time. For example, out the window of my office, I can see a pink crepe myrtle, and I hate crepe myrtles. So I would look out the window and say, I hate that stupid crepe myrtle. And there's my password. I capitalize the first letter of each word. I might put periods or hyphens in between. That is a totally awesome passphrase. It's easier to remember, and it's easier to type.
Interesting. I've never considered this. The phrase versus a random series of letters and numbers. That's interesting. Okay, so I hate that crepe myrtle. Now, one of the listeners may come over to your place, your office, and chop that thing down because they're very grateful for your efforts, and you will suddenly look out the window and you don't remember your password anymore. So it's a phrase, but some of them require odd characters, a hash mark or the @ sign.
Well, they require special characters. Yeah. Special characters. That's why I said put either periods or hyphens in between the words in your passphrase, and be consistent. Do all periods or all hyphens. Don't do random.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when people start having trouble remembering things, is when they just do random stuff, and then they can't replicate it. So get a system in your mind. And the reason I say periods or hyphens is because some places won't let you use a hash mark. Some won't let you use a star. Yeah. Some won't let you use an exclamation point. And so then you start getting frustrated. Your consistency is being thwarted by the software developer who wrote the application password requirements. But periods and hyphens are allowed in virtually every password environment because they're allowed in email addresses and web addresses, and they're just so common. So those are safe to use.
What about my system, which uses my fingerprint to recall the password? Do you have any? Are there vulnerabilities there? Is my fingerprint being sent into the dark web?
Well, Bruce Schneier is a very famous security researcher, and he says you can always change your password, but you can't change your thumbprint.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
So if your thumbprint gets stolen, it's gone.
Poke me right in the eye, hit me right in the gut. This simple thing. What about hopefully one of these days this computer will have a retina scan, and I can just look at it, and it'll scan my retina, and I will think, well, there we go. There's the password. There's the easy one. I don't have to look out my window and say, I hate that stupid trampoline. I will be able to say, it'll just scan my iris. What's going to happen with that?
The Chaos Computer Club in Germany managed to defeat a retina scanner at a defense installation with a paper copy of a digital photograph of someone's retina, someone's eye.
This is not looking up. So you're telling me that the password is my future. Embrace it. Stop being so whiny about it.
Well, the password is your present. I'm not saying it's your future as well. But there's research going into all kinds of things, gait analysis, how the blood veins in your body, patterns of those. I mean, researchers are looking at all kinds of different ways. Passwords are your present. So, yeah, you need to embrace them right now and live with them. But more importantly, enable multi-factor authentication anywhere it's available.
Okay.
Absolutely anywhere it's available.
Okay. I know what this is. In fact, my Nest thermostat asked for this last night, and I thought, I probably should go ahead and do this. So particularly after that Microsoft story that I told you a little while ago. So that stuff's bona fide. Right. You're a fan of that.
I'm a huge fan of multi-factor authentication for two reasons. Number one, your emails and passwords are getting dumped on the dark web all the time. But even if somebody has the email and password, if they don't have whatever device you get your multi-factor, your second factor code on, then they can't break into your account. They're stuck at that point. So Number one, it halts the attack, and number two, it gives you a warning. Because if you suddenly get a message from Google that says, here's the code, and you didn't just try to log into your Gmail account on a new computer, you know that somebody somewhere did, and that you need to change that password right now. So it's an alert factor. So multi-factor authentication has two very important uses.
You're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. I'm on with Glenda Snodgrass. Glenda is the president of the Net Effect. She teaches cybersecurity. She is a cybersecurity consultant. Glenda, so there's a part of me that says, you know what? I'm a small business. I don't have huge assets. If they want to sneak into my bank account, they'll see that for themselves. These guys, these criminals, are going to go focus on big business. They want Bank of America. They want Wells Fargo. They want big insurance company with big pockets and piles of money and safes hidden all over the country and all this kind of stuff. I am not important to them. Therefore, I don't need to take this stuff too seriously. Additionally, we're talking about my home stuff versus my work stuff. React to that for me.
Oh, I hear this question all the time, and here's my answer. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a car parked outside?
I do.
Did you lock it?
I think so.
Why did you bother? Who would want to steal one car? Who would want to steal one wallet out of one car?
Okay.
A criminal, that's who. Remember, we're talking about cybercrime. And remember also that because of the breadth of the infrastructure in cybercrime and all the automated processes, they don't have to come looking for you. They can get you in a drive-by because you're on the internet 24/7 on personal devices, smart devices in your home, computers at home, computers in the office. Everywhere you go, you're on the internet. They have so many opportunities to simply snag you as you're visiting their website, looking at a video, clicking on a link in Facebook Messenger, whatever. They don't have to go after you. They can just snare you up in their net most any time. And they think it's worth it because it's crime. It's small crimes add up to big money.
So tell me this, should we live in fear, or are you suggesting we simply be cautious? If I were to come to your house, and would I see a house that is not full of the modern technologies? For example, I've got a Nest thermometer, and I can monitor the temperature when I'm on the road and make sure my wife and children aren't overheating or overcooling the house. They don't like it, but I can. I have even the new washer and dryer we got 3 or 4 years ago has an option that I can talk to it via my phone. I didn't see the use for that, so I never set that up. But if I were to come to your house, am I living in 1980 in your house due to your reluctance to these technologies, or are you a current house?
You're probably living in 1955 in my house.
Okay. Because you know so much. Is that because you know so much?
Yeah. Well, here's the phrase that I like to use is be productively paranoid. You want to be just paranoid enough that you make an effort to understand the technology in your life and to secure it properly. But you don't want to be so paranoid that you're paralyzed and you can't do anything and you live in fear. You've got to strike that balance. And that balance is at a different point for every individual. It depends on your personal threat model. It depends on your personal appetite for risk. Everyone has to determine that balance. But the balance that you want to strike is to be productively paranoid, but not paralyzingly paranoid.
Wow. Lots of plosives, lots of P's in that little paraphrase. I love it. So I see people that carry 2 phones. One's for work, one's for personal. They fear the personal phone being hacked. They feel the work phone being hacked through the personal. Do you advise that?
Well, again, it depends on your situation, your personal threat model, your appetite for risk, but other things as well. I also have 2 phones. I have one personal and one for work. But that's because when work is done, I like to get myself away from work. And when I only had one phone, I found that even when I swore I was not going to check email this weekend, I would do it without thinking, hit the button, there's an email, and boom, now my mind is on work again. So having 2 phones has separated that out and has helped a lot. So that's one reason I personally like it. If you're going to have company data on a phone, you need to have mobile device management installed so that you can control the data on that phone, whether it's an employee's personal phone that's got company data on it compartmentalized, or whether you give them a separate company phone and you can completely control it with your mobile device management.
So you have 2 phones.
I'll take this a step further. What I recommend for individual people is not for individuals' personal phones is not to think so much in terms of personal or work, but think in terms of, is it a tool or is it a toy? Most households have multiple smart devices at this point, so we can actually assign tasks to our devices. Is it a tool or is it a toy? If you use it to do your online banking, manage your retirement account, manage your health insurance, manage the smart devices in your home, then it's a tool. You're actually doing important tasks with it, and it needs to be secure. The kids don't need to be playing with it. It shouldn't have games installed on it. You really don't even probably need social media on it. That one's a tool. A toy is one that the kids use, that you can install games on, that you put social media on. But all of those things have far greater risk than commercial business applications on smart devices. So if that's your toy, then that's your toy. Don't use that device for online banking or managing your health insurance or the smart devices in your home or the webcams in your children's bedrooms or anything like that. So work versus personal, yes, but also think in terms of tool versus toy.
In the final minute, Glenda, tell us about the net effect. Tell me about an assessment that you would do for an organization. If I had a business and invited you in within a minute, tell me how that looks, and then tell us how to get in touch with you.
All right. We'll do a security assessment. We'll do actual physical inspections of your network, because we ask for network diagrams and information, but we find that so often the network diagrams are not accurate. Either they're not up to date, or they don't even exist, or they're simply not accurate. Physical inspections help us find things like unsecured wireless devices and network segmentations that are not correct. We then we'll work with you to develop a mitigation plan on how to improve the security and compliance. We work with all compliance standards, PCI, HIPAA, GLBA, DFARS, it doesn't matter, all compliance standards. Develop a mitigation plan that either you and your IT people in-house can implement, or your IT vendor can implement, or we can help you find someone to implement it. We supervise the implementation, make certain that everything is done correctly, return for annual assessments. We also help businesses develop their written policies and their employee training programs, as well as doing personal security awareness training for employees. I do a lot of that for my clients on a regular basis.
And how can people find you?
Our website is www.theneteffect.com, THENETEFFECT, theneteffect.com. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, Glenda T&E. You can see me posting on social media tips just about every single day.
Glenda, it's been a revealing, frightening, and at the same time, very enlightening conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Glenda's clearly telling us that the more we know about how things work in the cybersecurity world, in the electronic and the online world, the more we're able to make decisions on how to protect ourselves. And if this is of interest to you, or if you have someone on your team who you feel would be good in this role, Coastal Alabama Community College offers a technical support specialist program. It helps prepare the students for careers in IT or technical support, helps them polish their skills if they're in this already. And if they're not in it already, with this program, you can go directly into the labor market. To learn more, simply visit coastalalabama.edu. You can check them out online at their catalog, also at coastalalabama.edu, and learn more about the classes. We'll be back in just a moment with final comments. You're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College.
Hi, I'm Jay Stubbs with First Protective. People approaching retirement are concerned about outliving their income and being a burden on their children. They fear chronic illness, and they want to leave a legacy. If you're a life insurance producer or in the traditional investment business and this describes your clients, we can help. Call me, Jay Stubbs, 251-604-7024, or find me online at firstprotective.com.
Coastal Alabama Community College is 3 amazing colleges combined into one incredible institution. And that means we're all together. For more sports, 15 more locations, more friends, more one-on-one time with instructors, way more activities, more courses, a lot more courses, and more success for all of us. Pretty much more of everything. Coastal Alabama Community College is where everyone is. All together! Coastal Alabama Community College. Register today.
We're doing something a little bit different to close the show today. In the spirit of the title of this radio program, guest commentator David Webb knows what's working. For him, it's Conecuh sausage.
Do you have an obsession with a brand or a product? I do, and I've got it really bad. It's not Auburn, the SEC, Yeti, Costa, Salt Life, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Ford, Facebook, or even the Weather Channel. It's called Conecuh sausage, and I never stop talking about it, ever. Just ask anyone that knows me. It's in my blood because it's been a staple in my family for over 40 years. I remember the day my dad came home with a pound of it when I was just a little guy. The distinctive yellow label with a red and white checkered border was branded to my soul that day. The words Conecuh Hickory Smoked Sausage stuck out like a bright, blinking Bourbon Street neon sign. I remember hovering over the grill while Dad cooked it to a golden perfection. The smoke alone was ethereal. The taste was out of this world. From that day on, it's been an obsession with all things Conecuh for me. So what makes their brand distinctive? Well, it's a combination of things. First and foremost, it's the people behind the scenes. You won't meet a nicer, more knowledgeable group of fine folks running the show up there in Evergreen, Alabama. Being a family-owned business since 1947, they've had over 70 years to perfect their trade, and they've done it. Conecuh is not just a county. It's a proud namesake for all of us here in Alabama. We can hold our heads high knowing that Alabamians produce the best sausage on earth. Second is quality. That's exactly what comes to mind when you see their logo. Their quality is second to none. We may pay a little extra for the Conecuh brand, but it's well worth it. And last is recognition. Their brand is recognized all over the South, and for good reason. It's the finest sausage made. It's easy to spot their logo among the plethora of imitators in the meat section of any store. There's absolutely no substitute. And what separates their sausage from others in the marketplace? One word: taste. It's distinctive, spicy, aromatic, and scrumptious. Grilled, fried, sauteed, baked, boiled, broiled, braised, crocked, souped, stewed, or skewered over an open fire, it's versatile and delicious down to the very last bite. The highly guarded recipe formula is a thing of sheer brilliance. They use fresh ingredients to create their signature flavor, and their processing is slow and meticulous. It takes a while to produce smoked perfection. While other sausage companies rush the smoking process, Conecuh puts love and time into making their meats absorb the exact amount of hickory smoke. It comes out consistent and yummy every time. Am I passionate about Conecuh sausage? You bet. It's an Alabama Southern tradition, kind of like collard greens, cornbread, cheese grits, fried chicken, fresh oysters, Mardi Gras, and a Pullman's birthday cake if you're from Mobile. It's tied up in countless memories of grilling out by the pool during every holiday known to man, hundreds of college football games, and countless meals around the Webb dinner table. It's comfort food for me and my friends and family, and I absolutely love it. You should too.
I want to thank David Webb for his commentary. I watched David as he read his commentary, and he nailed it, man. He nailed it. It takes me 3, 4 times, 5 times to get things like that right. He nailed it right out of the gate. Very impressive. I admire and envy that. I want to thank Kristen Ogden. Kristen gets my guests' crazy schedule, aligns them with my crazy schedule. When we record in the studio, she has to mirror or match the studio's crazy schedule and try to get us all in there together. She works tirelessly at it. Our show is produced by John Thompson at Ion Digital. You want to know a little bit about what John and his team does, go to Ion Digital, EYEON Digital. You're listening to What's Working with Cam Marston, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. Have a good week, everyone.